Welcome back to the Breaking Rules Publishing Anchors podcast. Today we have Sandra Wells. We're going to call her Sandy for the next hour. And we also have Daniel Fisher and Patty McCarthy with us. All four of us are going to have a chat, and we're going to talk about Sandra's books and what she's doing and how she does this all on her phone. Everyone is still amazed by that. So let's just kind of start right there. Sandy, how did you decide to do this on your phone?
It really wasn't a hard decision. I mean, I have my phone pretty much glued to me 100% of the time, and I've got Word. You know, it's a Samsung phone, and I've got Word downloaded on it, and I just started writing. And if I'm somewhere, you know, stuck at the doctor or somebody's house or something, and I think of whatever I want to write, I just open the phone up and there it is, and I do it. You know, so it's actually pretty convenient.
So how do you doing this? I mean, is it a bigger phone so that you can actually type on it, or do you have a little keyboard that's attached to it?
No, it's a Samsung Galaxy phone. It's Android, and it's about 5 inches by, I'd say, 7.
Oh wow, big phone. So yeah, this is my phone. The why I asked you is I have a little iPhone, and I'm a one-finger texter. So my fingers are going around like wildfire. I can do this really fast, but I'm just trying to think of, I could never write a book with my one little finger. That would be insane.
Well, if I have a keyboard the size of a television, I'm still one finger, so it doesn't really matter. Every time I type the word for, I type F-I-R. Every freaking time.
Well, you type or your autocorrect, because that's my issue. I send a text and I say one thing and it says something entirely different. And then, I hate autocorrect.
I tried to speak, to the phone and let it type itself, because I have that option too. But I mean, it changes so many words, and you read it, you're like, what?
I didn't write that. I know I didn't write that.
I don't know where that came from.
I typed Christopher something one day, and I forget the word that I was typing, and it typed ass. And I was like, no.
Yeah, it's super convenient. I mean, like I said, anywhere that I'm out and about. My brother liked to fish, to tell you that, over the summer. And I would sit there and, talk to them while they did that. And I'd be writing my book.
So aside from Sandra writing 3 books, or yes,
fourth one. I just received her 4th one. So
okay, so aside from you, this is your new superpower. So aside from writing 4 books, your superpower is typing a full novel with one finger on your phone. That is amazing.
I know, right?
Do you have to upload it to double check spelling or anything, or do you do all that on the phone as well?
I do that all on the phone as well. I mean, you can just go to the options. You have the options for spelling and punctuation and sentence structure. And after I've wrote, 4 or 5 chapters, I'll just run it through it. And then, after 4 or 5 more, I do the same thing. But what I do every day, or after I've written a lot, is you can share it and email it. And I email it to myself, so I have a copy. So I've got right now about probably 45 copies of my progress of the book.
Wow. And that's smart, because, if you drop your phone like I did, and I cracked my screen, and it's not an old phone, I just got it a few months ago, then, you don't lose your work. And there's nothing more frustrating to a writer, as we can all attest probably, is losing your work. It's just heartbreaking.
I shoot it to me in an email, and then I just, put it in the keep file. And that way, every day, my progress is saved. So
that's a good idea.
And I have one file on my phone, which is the book, and I open that up and write in it. I write maybe 2 or 3 hours a day at most. I don't spend a lot of time writing.
You spend more time than we do, except for maybe Daniel. Daniel's very...
Not as much as you think. I'm I'm currently have writer's block on this short story because I know what I want to say, and then I'm trying to get it out, and then there just comes that point when you're like,
It will come.
So
exactly. You just got to let it go when it's going to go and then grab it. But 3 hours a day is still really impressive.
It is. It's really impressive.
Are you writing for the short story contest that Christopher's having?
I'm trying to come up with something for it, yeah. And I know, like, the first is the deadline. So the last 3 short stories I've written have all been like, yeah, why not? Why not I just do it? And then
you should.
I do it at the last minute, and then I'm like, here you go.
Sandra did. That's awesome that she did that.
And the short story competitions are rolling I forget the time frame for those. They're going
to do one every month. It's going to be January and February. We're going to skip March and do April and May, and skip June and do July and August. So we're going to have a month in between them, just so that Patty and I can have a break from reading so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I sent in a Halloween short story. I was too late to get it at the Halloween thing you had, but I sent it into the short story contest.
Cool. Good for you. Very good.
So do tell us about, and let's start with book 1. Do tell us about your book series, Sandra.
Well, they all take place in New Hampshire. I lived in Barrington, New Hampshire for 4 years, and I really loved the state. It's a beautiful state, but I can't deal with all that, snow and shoveling thing. Shovel your car out of the driveway in the morning to go to work, and shovel it to get back in the driveway at night. But it's a beautiful state. But anyway, I've never, forgotten the time that I spent there. And when I started writing, I just, I can't really explain it. I said, well, I guess it'll take place there. And they turned into a series. I just sent my 4th book in to Christopher, but they all take place around the Portsmouth, Dover, and Seabrook areas of New Hampshire. The Portsmouth Library carries the books too, and if I understand, they got a waiting list on them, which is pretty cool.
Oh, congratulations!
They do. I've been bugging them every couple of weeks about it to make sure there's a waiting list for it.
And they should get a couple more books just so that there's not. You know what? I'll tell you what. If you give me the address of the library, I will donate a copy of each one of your books so that more people can read it.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you. What I've been doing lately is I've been looking at Facebook pages that deal with New Hampshire, like especially the Portsmouth area, from the White Mountains down. And you know how places have official pages, and then people have, oh, we love New Hampshire pages and things like that. And I've been posting a lot of ads, and the article that the Portsmouth Herald wrote on me, I've been posting them on those pages, and I've got a lot of likes and feedback from those. And some people have told me they ordered books.
Didn't one post from one of those sites mention that your views went up to like over almost 4,000 views at one point?
Yeah.
Wonderful. That's smart marketing. Very smart.
Well, I've been trying to tie it in. I know Daniel will appreciate it.
Yes, I will.
I was just gonna say, if you guys, how is that doing?
About Cookie Bear, it's a cat's life, is what it's called, and I dress him up in all kind of situations and things like that. But what I've been doing also is putting the tag for my book site up there.
Yeah.
And so if they look at his pictures, half of them will at least, hit the tag and go and look at the book site, because I get like 2,000 views a day on that site, on the Pookie site.
That's great.
You remind me of Stephen King, who specifically centers all of his books in Derry.
Yeah.
That Massachusetts. I'm not exactly sure where Derry is. But yeah. So that's very like Stephen King-esque, doing that. That's smart.
Yeah, I didn't really think of that. I just, like I said, I enjoyed the time I spent there. It's a beautiful state. It really is. And up into Maine. Maine's beautiful too.
Maybe that's where Derry is, Maine. Yeah.
It might be, but I know there's a Derry, New Hampshire. But yeah, my first
sales for December right now. You sold quite a few books. And all three of them. You sold quite a few of them. You've done well.
I've been marketing the crap out of
She does every day, like 5 or 6 ads.
I have been.
And you've been doing a lot of podcasts and a lot of interviews. Do you want to talk about those, like where we could find your podcast and interviews?
Yeah, I can send you the links to all of I was in the newspaper here in my hometown on the front page. I couldn't believe that. And I was also in the Kingsport Times newspaper here. And they gave me like 4 columns of half a page almost.
Wonderful.
That was pretty cool.
And what are some of the more recent podcasts you've done aside from this one with Breaking Rules Publishing?
The Pen and something it's called.
Pen for Hire?
With Matt?
Pen Podcast with Matt Harms.
Yeah, I just did that one last weekend.
Nice.
And I've got all of them, the times and dates and stuff. He hasn't, I don't think he sent me the time and date that's going to be airing it yet. But I did the interview last Saturday with him. And I've got 3 or 4 coming up. One, the Crime Cafe. I can't wait to see that one and do that one. It's Frank Scalise is what his name is, just like the mobster.
Really?
And he used to have a SWAT team. He actually worked in SWAT and was on a SWAT team and all kind of stuff, intelligence in the Army and all this stuff. And he's going to be interviewing me. He writes books, also crime books. So hopefully he'll read one of my books before we have the interview.
Aren't you also doing the Colorado Horror Festival?
Yeah, that one, I'll have to send you the dates. I don't have the dates in my mind, but
I've got it saved so I can look it up. And
yeah.
I'll post it on the Breaking Rules webpage for everyone as well.
Yeah, I've got it posted on the webpage at Breaking Rules. I've got the time and all that on there. I think it's April 7th. I think is what it is.
Good for you.
Yeah.
But I've got them all the way to October of next year.
You've been busy. That's awesome. And this
I sent like 28 emails the other day to different libraries and news organizations and all kinds. I made up a press release. I made up my own press release. I don't know if Ed told you or not.
No.
I sent it to him so he could make up one like it for himself. Yeah, it's been pretty good. I've had 4 newspapers now print stuff from it. And I don't know, it's just relentless. You got to be relentless and work every day on it. And
you are correct. You're absolutely correct.
It's bound to pay off at some point, one way or the other.
So we have a couple. I'm going to give you 2 different dynamics. We have one guy, Otto I'll say Otto Thoreau. He has a stack of books with him wherever he goes. He is a hairstylist, so he has them sitting on his table so that when someone comes to get their hair done, he talks about his book, and then they buy one and off they go. Or he'll take it to a restaurant, and he'll sit there and put the book on his table. The waitress will come up and want to know about it, and all the people around him are going to want to know about this book that he has there. It's his and he wrote it. Someone will buy it, and there they go. He does that all the time, every single day. He'll take a book with him wherever he goes, and that's what he does. And then you have someone on the other end who hasn't promoted their book in 3 or 4 months. They have this book, and they've written a couple, and they haven't done anything with it. And you're like, what are you doing? I don't understand. You spent all this time to get this to going, and then it's just sitting there. You're not even pushing it in any way. I just don't understand why that is.
Yeah, I guess they just think that one person's going to read it. It's going to become War and Peace. Yeah.
Which the reality is anything but, But I'm curious, Sandra, for our listeners today, would you tell us a little bit about your crime series that you have, titles and?
Well, Just Like That is the first book in the series, and it dealt mainly with a stalker. There's 2 detectives that are in each book, Detective Kelly G and Detective Carver, and they get like Christopher, they get bogged down with different cases and they try to, work 2 or 3 at a time. But she had a stalker in the first book that ended up killing Detective Carver's wife and a couple other people. And it just, he was a bad dude, and I'm not going to tell you how it ended or anything like that.
No spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers. But I've had a lot of people read it. I did get one bad review on it. This lady said that it had way too much cursing in it. And I think, if I remember right, there might have been 6 curse words in the entire book. But everybody else has said they enjoyed reading it, as far as I know.
If you're going to read one of my books, be prepared, because people swear, and so do my characters, and they have mouths like sailors, and that's because most people do. In real life, when the doors are closed, that F-bomb is hit all the time. So why are you not letting that out? That's what I have to say.
And truly, doesn't it
bother her immensely? So.
Well, everybody has their own taste and their own boundaries, but doesn't it depend on the story too that you're writing? Because I have books that I swear profusely. I am the drunken sailor as I'm writing. The F-bomb comes out constantly. And then I have stories that there's no place for that. The characters just aren't rolling that way. And I respect that, So, but they say that you're not truly a writer until you get one bad review. So there you go.
Yeah. Okay. But now my second book is Nothing Else Matters. And that dealt with 2 rogue cops that were pretty much in bed with a drug dealer that was located in Seabrook, New Hampshire, and they had someone turn them in, and they waited a year to get revenge on the people, and they had the cops go to their house and kill the couple and burn their home down and kidnap their 15-year-old daughter. And they took her and held her in the drug dealer's warehouse that he sold drugs out of, in a pretty much like a dungeon. And they was selling her on the dark web. And so that's what they dealt with in that book.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, and in my third book, Fatal Predictions, a man got out of prison early because his wife, he had attacked her and everything, and he'd been in prison for a couple of years. He got out early and went to his ex-wife's home, and she had a boyfriend in bed, so he ended up killing them and taking their 2 kids, which one was 4 and one was 6. And he took them way up into the White Mountains and put them in a cabin where there wasn't any heat except firewood, a fireplace. And he kept them, but when he went to, he was getting ransom money from the grandfather. When he went to get the ransom money, he was on Lake Winnipesaukee with the ransom money in a bag on a snowmobile, and he hit a snowdrift, and it projected him out across the lake into an ice hole, and he died. So the kids were left alone, and a psychic had to help. They helped Detective Kelly G and Detective Carver. A psychic helped find them in that one. And I always have 2 or 3 different things going on at once. So it's hard to really explain it all without giving the entire book away.
Yeah. And then what about your new one that's coming out? This has not been released yet? The 4th?
Christopher just got it Saturday. In the one before, there was also a doctor and his nurse who was taking indigent women that came into the ER, the emergency room, and if they didn't have anyone, like women that was on the street and stuff and pregnant, having their babies, they would kill the woman and put the babies up for adoption for $30,000 each. They had a network where they were selling off babies. And one of the teenagers that had kicked his girlfriend out, and she ended up in the hospital and got killed, and the baby stole. Anyway, in this new book, he come back for revenge against them, but he's trying to not make it look apparent, so he's killing off other women before he kills off the nurse in this book. And there's, like I said, there's several other things going on. The drug dealer from the one that was keeping Katie in the dungeon, that one, he is back in this book also, and he doesn't get away in this book. Let's put it that way.
So what is the title of your fourth book?
Oh, Before Dawn. He
So
was, yes, Jeremy, the kid that his girlfriend got killed and his baby got sold for adoption. He's taking revenge on the nurse. The doctor went to prison, but the nurse ratted him out and stayed out of prison. So he's taking revenge on her in this book, and I think people will really like it. I really do. Like I said, I brought back 2 characters from the other books, and ended up, not working out well for them. A new book is going to sell pretty good. I have good hopes for it.
So it sounds like the first 2 are standalone books, and then the last 2.
It's a 4-book series.
Okay, and then the last 2, Fatal Predictions and Before Dawn. That sounds like a sort of a continuing saga.
Yeah, it all started with the first book with Detective Carver and Detective Kelly G. And they're in every book, and they're solving different crimes and different scenarios.
I like running characters because it creates a familiarity as you go along. Like Christopher has the Matthews family in several of his books who are
Awesome.
Yeah, and so it's nice to pick up a book and say, hey, I know these people, so I like that you did that and keep some of the same characters throughout.
Yeah, it's been a strange experience because I've never, written a book before until this last March.
Wow.
So I've never written poetry. I had a very blessed February that was, I won a contest in the Tennessee Magazine, and they published it, but it was just a poem.
Very nice. So had you never written prior to last March, or?
Well, I had a graphic design business for 13 years called Portside Graphics in Myrtle Beach. So I had to write, copy for brochures or, things like that. But as far as sitting down and writing over 2 pages of something, no, I never had.
And so then what turned your mind to sitting down and writing novels for a living?
I'm talking to a friend of mine that I've known since the 2nd grade, and we keep in touch. She's got a hotel down in Cape Coral, Florida. And she said, well, what have you been up to? And I said, I don't know. I said, one of these days I'm going to write a bestseller. And she said, well, I bet you could do it. And I started writing that night. I proved her I could do it.
That's a really cool story.
People challenge you. I'm telling you, when people challenge you, you step up and you truth be told, Patty would send to me, I want to do this and I want to do this and I want to become a writer and I want to write this. And I said, then do it. And I continually push her, do this. And we even got to the point where we'll do the little test and you write 1,000 words a day and we'll keep track of each other. And finally she gives me this book and now she's got 3 out. She's doing good.
All right, good for you.
Thank you. Of course, it takes me a lot longer to write because, Breaking Rules is a busy company and there's a lot to do. So, yeah.
But, don't have a lot of time to work on that.
Well, hopefully next year, Christopher and I, and perhaps Daniel as well, all being in the same location, we'll be able to sit down and just block out time for personal writing, because my writing is all business related or reading everybody else's manuscripts, and I'm happy to do that. I would just like to be able to put pen to paper for myself once in a while. I think that would be very satisfying,
Yeah.
So I'm super impressed that you've written 4 books since March. That is amazing.
That is wonderful.
The reporter Elizabeth from Kingston Times, she reports on the crimes and stuff also, not just, the writing daily stuff. But she told me about a situation where these 2 guys that were out fishing and they got into a fight, and one of the guys stabbed the other one, and they didn't have anything on the boat. He was bleeding bad, so they put super glue in it and super glued the wound. And she said, I bet you could use that. So in this last book, Before Dawn, I had the guy, Jeremy, who's doing the killing. He's also got a girlfriend, and he, treats her pretty rough. Anyway, he cut her arm really bad with a glass that he broke, and he super glued her wound. And then, oh God, I can't tell you the end.
No.
Anyway, when something happens to him, let's say drastically happens to him at the end, there's not enough damn super glue in the whole world for that shit. So I texted her. I said, I used your idea. I'll send you a book when it comes out.
Our sweet little Sandy Wells and all this murder, mayhem, mystery, and super glue is just amazing. Like,
it's awesome. It is very awesome.
When I read historical romances. I love castles and the whole, knight in shining armor deal. I don't like the real sappy ones, but I read. That's pretty much, I'd say 60% of what I read. And then when I write, it's kill, kill, kill. So I don't understand that one.
Oh, it's cathartic. It's definitely cathartic. You're getting everything out, and you're creating these intricate characters, so it's amazing.
Who was I talking to? I think it was Matt Harms, and we had that conversation about people who kill off their books, and I said I've done it, and I saved myself some jail time because of it. You get all of your aggression out when you do that, and then you don't have to worry about going off and slaughtering.
I was thinking about Google. How the government has to keep track of things that you Google and all that. They got to have somebody watching me 24 hours, stuff I Google.
Oh.
Really they do. I Google some really wild questions like how much fentanyl has to be in a pain pill before somebody dies from it.
Oh my goodness.
If you cut your arm off with a chainsaw, how long before you bleed off?
I think that's sort of the benchmark of becoming a writer is when you start looking at your Google search history and you start worrying if you're going to become a domestic terrorist.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
we're probably on every FBI watch list that exists. So I'm sure your name's flagged, yours, mine, because like when you search for things like, what's one poison that's undetectable in murder, I don't know.
We find that out.
Yeah.
Right.
So Daniel, you and Sandra are connected because you're her marketing buddy. So how is that all working? Pretty good?
I didn't quite hear the question.
That you and Sandra are marketing buddies, and I want to know how that was all working out.
I feel like I'm constantly playing catch up to Sandra. Like she is on fire every step of the way. So best thing I can do is just try and follow through and like contact a library here, reach out to a bookstore there, make up ads to throw down. She's got the approach. She's already on the podcast. She did the Screaming Troy radio show, and because of that, now I'm going to be doing it. So I'm just constantly playing catch up, trying to pick up the little pieces as best I can, because she's on fire.
River Run. I'd really like to get a few books in there.
I tried to get to River Run. They haven't returned any of my emails because they're kind of snooty.
Well, I've had several people, though, like I said, in New Hampshire, that have responded to stuff that I've posted up there, asking me what bookstores they're in.
So do this, both of you do this. If you find that happening, send their email to me and their contact information. I will either call them or I will email them. A lot of times, bookstores will look at an author and say, no, I'm not talking to the author, or they'll look at the agent, I'm not talking to the agent, but they will talk to a publisher. So since I have that title under my name, go ahead and give me information and I'll send them an email, and then maybe that'll be a nice little bridge that you can at least try and get in.
Cool.
Sandra, if you don't have time, I have it on the bio information you sent me. I can just copy and paste it and send it right on to Christopher today.
Oh, that would be great. Thanks. Hey, Patty, Choline kills you within seconds, paralyzes you, and shuts down your lungs, and it's only detectable for about 30 seconds in your blood.
So I missed the name of it. What was it?
Choline.
I actually knew that once upon a time when I was researching all of that, but I had forgotten what it was called. So thank you.
What was it? I didn't hear the name.
Succinylcholine.
Succinylcholine. Okay. If you, there's a few herbs also that might be in your backyard if you ever need to know any of those.
All right. This book, I'm going off the Crown stuff to write a book about Myrtle Beach, the volcano rising up out of the ocean in Myrtle Beach. So,
I am so sweet and innocent compared to the three of you.
Well, Sandy, did you find the information you needed about the fault lines?
about what?
The fault lines running through that
No,
area?
I haven't even. I told myself I was going to take about a half a month off, 2 weeks or something like that before I started writing again.
Okay. Well, let me know if you need any more. Yeah, let me know if you need any more information, because I also found some stats on like low grade tectonic action and like some of the plate movements and earthquakes in that area.
Yeah, that'd definitely be helpful. I want 2 major earthquakes to happen out in the ocean. And then, like I said, I researched the quickest that a volcano could actually, rise up out of something and explode. And that's 2 days. So,
Well, there was one in the 60s in Mexico that took about 24 hours.
yeah. So it's possible,
Yeah.
I'm going to have mayhem going in Myrtle Beach.
There also are volcanic furnaces under the ocean on the bottom of the ocean floor. So check into those too, because they tend to erupt pretty frequently.
There's the North Atlantic plate that runs just about 1,000 miles outside of the eastern seaboard, and it joins with the Mid-Atlantic plate.
Mm-hmm.
Sandra asked me about it, so I did a bunch of research, and you guys know how I geek out on research.
That's cool. Yeah, I'd like to have you sent me a couple sites that I could look at. My father retired from NOAA, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
He dealt with a lot of stuff off of Wallops Island, and
Okay.
near Shinkatink and all that. I don't know if you've ever island hopped up through there, but he can't give me any information anymore because he's deceased, unfortunately.
Aww.
Oh, well, shoot me the island name, and I'll look it up for you.
Okay. Yeah.
See, that in another life, that's probably my career of choice, as being a scientific something, a scientist of some sort. I love science. Like,
I used to go to work with him when I was a kid, and it was like Dragnet. You remember how not Dragnet, but oh God, the guy with the shoe for a phone.
Get smart.
Get smart.
Yeah, you went through the first door and you had to have a code. Then you went through another door and you had to have a code.
How fun. What a neat childhood that must have been.
The computer took up an entire room.
Well, they were kind of cumbersome back then, but that never gave you a desire to like go into the fields of science or anything?
Not really, no. I mean, I went into computers more or less. I started out on IBM, of course, and then when the iMac came out, I worked with computers and design and things like that. That's pretty much all I've done in my life. But he was, what he did was interesting. I know down in the basement of the federal building, I could go down there and they had all the handwritten books like from 100 years ago from the weather, where they'd actually hand wrote out, and it was like calligraphy, or you know what I mean?
Right.
It was really cool.
Oh my gosh, I would love to own one of those and have it on my shelf or my desk. That's like a dream come true. I love old historical handwritten.
It was like a library, just of weather, related books, that had been kept over the years. And you could go back and you could find them from, it was like 80 or 90 years, I believe it was, that they had one handwritten.
That's incredible. Do you find that your childhood or anything that you've like, going to work with your dad at NOAA, do you find any of that leaking into your writing?
I don't really think so. I've moved a lot in my life, and I've lived a lot of different places, and that's given me kind of an idea about how people are different in different parts of the country and the world. and it's helped me come up with different characters, you know. So that's about what's helped me the most, I think.
Be interesting to have a science crime mystery. Like,
Yeah.
maybe that's like book 5, something scientific.
There you go. You write it.
I have 3 on my plate that I'm trying to find time to get back to. So,
Oh, Lord.
and do you have friends that like are constantly saying, "Oh, you should write a book about me," you know? Because I have like 3 friends. They're like, "You need to write my story."
I had a cousin that sent me an email not long ago, about 3 weeks ago, and asked me if I'd ever wrote any books about the family. And I sent her back, "Oh, God, no." That's all I said.
Oh my word. That's dangerous territory there, writing about the family. Like my first book was about my defunct marriage, but beside, you know, I can't write about the family in totality because I don't, you know, you don't know who you're going to offend. So
yeah, I try to not keep any of their characteristics. I mean, I don't put any of those in the books because they'll say, "Oh, you're talking about me."
Right. That sounds an awful lot like me. So
when I write about my family, people are going to think it's fiction. So I'm not worried if they read it.
You write all about your family.
Oh yeah, I'm going to name names, places, dates, times, and their entire criminal record.
Christopher is the sweet one out of this group, isn't he?
I am the sweet one. Who would have thought that?
Who would have thought? Oh my goodness.
Well,
Excuse me.
about all I could think of that would be interesting about me.
Oh, please, there's tons. Hey, Sandra, would you mind sending me some of those press clippings and your press release, and I'll do up some stuff and help try and get word out for you?
Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, sure. And
That'd be great.
Christopher said if we could try to get a couple more books to the library, and if we could get River Run, that I believe that's one of the main bookstores.
It is. I just sent Chris their webpage info and their contact number with that email that you forwarded to me about trying to get into there. And I'll go ahead and it's not the Bradley County Library, but it's I'll send him the library as well.
Rockingham County.
Rockingham?
Rockingham County. That's where most of it takes
Okay, cool.
place at. And like I said, I've already tried putting the word out to several New Hampshire Facebook pages, and I've got a lot of response. Of course, you get that one person, you know, "Oh, this is not a sales site." And I'm like, well, the books are about New Hampshire, you know. And then I get 5 or 6 people that back me up, so I just kind of sit back and stick my tongue out at them.
Yeah.
I try not to say anything bad. I let everybody else do it.
I keep one strategy I've been trying to do is like I send them like an email, be like, "Hey, and granted, this is me being a total deceitful liar and I'm not above it. I'm like, I'm planning on moving there. Where can I buy these books? Because I'm really into this author." And like, so I've sent it to the library, I've sent it to the bookstores, and I'm like, I recommend people do it as well.
That's
really smart.
That's a good way to go about it. Yeah, I had tried that. Of course, you know I'm going to have to now.
Oh, I get every person you know just to contact River Run and be like, "Hey, yo, I'm really interested in picking up a copy of Sandra Wells' book.
Well,
the library has a waiting list, so why don't you sell them?"
2 or 3 people that I said, well, try the library, but I think there's a waiting list, and if you can't get one there, I said, I think River Run might have some. So
That would be cool.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So Sandra and Daniel, you both gave me an idea. what if we created a breaking, now this might be a couple of months down the road, but what if we created like a Breaking Rules Publishing scrapbook so that all of Breaking Rules Publishing authors, like you've had all of these like paper editorials written about you, that we could actually place them in a scrapbook of some sort, all the writers' accomplishments and stuff. Wouldn't that be a neat historical thing to have?
Yeah, I think it would be wonderful.
Wouldn't that be neat?
Yeah, do it from, I don't know, by year, like a year in review, like a Breaking Rules photo album kind of thing, but virtual photo album.
Yeah, I love that idea.
But once there's a way, there has to be a way on the website. If there's a way that we can take all the things that kind of piggybacking on what you're saying, Patty, we took all of the articles that she has and put it so that in her blurb there was a link that they could click onto, and then that would just open up to all the articles about her and her books. I wonder if there's got to be a way we can do that. I'm gonna look into it. It's a good idea.
Pretty much, as long as we can scan the documents and upload them to the website, there should be a way to just have that section of the website as being a link, and then it's just about formatting the web page that has the scanned documents in it.
Well, the newspapers that have done something on me, they're also online, not just in print, but also online.
That definitely helps. So, yeah, I think that we should do that. Like once we're all in St. Petersburg, and yeah, what a great idea.
I think
that would be wonderful.
Came from those two, really. Just they were. Thanks, you two.
No problem.
I'm blaming Sandy for this one.
I'm giving credit to both.
One of the things that people are actually, and as you guys were talking and doing your thing, I was sitting back thinking how cool this actually is, that there's just three of you who are communicating back and forth and talking about books and trying to really give her ideas on how she can sell and motivate her to sell more books. And I'm sitting back here thinking, this is exactly how I want this to go. And that this is really how this is working really well. And I'm pleased to see. And I don't know if you guys picked up on that, but me just sitting back thinking, God, this is cool. This is exactly what I wanted to happen. So thank you very much, both all of you. That was cool.
Oh, you're welcome, Christopher. Thank you for everything you do.
Oh, I try.
Even though you forget half of it.
You know, if I didn't have my book that told me what to do and a little piece of paper next to me, you should, and Patty will tell you, there are Post-its. David has this really beautiful picture that I have in front of me that's all these bright colors, and on it are these Post-its across it.
I know all about the land of Post-its.
There you are. I have to have it. It's crazy.
Not to mention, Christopher has a Patty. He'll text me, what am I doing?
I did that today. I made the wrong covers, and I'm like, I thought I was right, and I made the wrong covers.
Well, we need those covers, but not until
now
a February release, but we need those other two like today. So yeah.
Real quick, Christopher, I never got the link for the formatting books, so if you could resend that, then I can get started on that for you.
Okay. You never got my book that I sent you?
Well, I still haven't got that, but I mean the link for formatting these books that I was going to help you with.
Oh, I'll do that when I'm done here.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate everybody coming on and talking with me.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
It's a pleasure to get on and talk with you.
Yes.
Stay a firebrand.
Yes, you're doing great.
You're like the example of what all the other authors could be doing.
You should. This is something. When we have our next author, because the author salon that's coming up next is Deborah Riley, and this would be really good for you guys because she's trying to tell you what to do to market yourself without spending a lot of money or without social media. So telling her, breaking in and saying, this is what I've been doing, reaching out to the newspapers or whatever would be really good, and to say, I've found some success. And I'll even get you, before this even happens, you'll get your numbers and I'll tell you, this is where you are for December and how much you sold. And you can say, I've sold this many books in December, excuse me, to tell them, you know what, you need to get off your butt. It's not that hard.
Well, I have my site on Google too. It's if you look it up, it's Books by Sandra Wells, and I have a bunch of stuff on that, and I have like maybe 3,000 people a month look at that and look at the pictures and stuff that's posted there.
Nice.
And who set that up for you?
Me.
Did you do it by yourself?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Remember when Ed was telling us how you had to send a picture of your driver's license and all that stuff? Remember? Yeah, that's what I did.
He's going to tell us all how to do that on the 13th of January.
Oh,
So
nice.
Come back and tell everybody. So that'll be a really good.
I still can't find the little icon he was talking about. So
I think what we need to have him do is share the screen so he can say, this is where you're going.
well, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and what you can do instead of waiting for them to contact you is you contact them, and it'll be quicker. Because I had it on there in like 3 days.
Cool.
And it don't take anything to set it up. I mean, basically what you do is you fill out all your information, put a bunch of your ads, pictures of your books and things like that, and your name, and give it a name, your site a name, and it's just like they could go there, they could click on the books and order them from Breaking Rules and everything else.
Nice.
That's fantastic.
So that's January 13th. Is that an author salon with Ed Green?
So we have 3 of them this month. One of them is with Deborah Riley.
When is that?
That's on the 6th, and she's going to talk to us about social media, how to market without social media. She actually, this is interesting for all of you too. She is a part of a group called Savvy Authors, and they do workshops. And she has a workshop on the 4th that I'm going to take part in, and she's going to be with us on the 6th. And then Ed is going to be here on the 13th, and then Alan Hesse is going to be here on the 20th.
Okay. I'm writing these down so I don't forget.
Yeah.
It's on the website too, so you can
Okay.
find it there.
I try to put everything down, and sometimes I forget, or sometimes I have to go out of town and can't make it.
Yeah. I tend to have to set alarms on my phone to remind myself of everything. Does anybody have anything else they want to ask Sandra? AKA Cindy?
I would just want to congratulate you. You've done a really great job.
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
totally impressed that this is all
I
coming from market.
I have tried.
Good
You're
for
doing a spectacular job. You
Thank
truly
you.
are. Very impressive what you've
Well,
achieved.
it helped that, like I said, I own that business because I had to pretty much market myself there too. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it was a graphic design business to get customers, and so I pretty much had an idea of what needed to be done.
Mm.
And that's excuse me, a lot of the things that happen with the new authors that we have coming on, they don't know. They don't know. I will admit, when I first started writing, I had no clue of what to do. And these people who are coming in now are in the same situation. There's many of them who have their social media platforms are next to nothing, and they don't know what to do or how to make it any bigger or what they should be doing, or that they're in that whole buy my book phase, and you can't do that either. And one of the things that they really need to consider is doing what you're doing, is stepping outside of the box and finding newspapers that are in that area or bookstores that are in that area, because you have a specific area that you're in or that you're writing about that you can contact them that's totally separate from you. So you kind of have a diamond situation because you've got that area and then your own because of where you live. It's perfect. People should consider that more often. And then too, you've got a series. Everyone's like, series are no good. Series are the best thing you can write. Because if you find that someone wants to buy book 5 and you have a series of 10 and they pick up book 5, they're going to read it and say, now I have to pick up the other 4 books before this, and I want to find out what happens after.
Yeah.
So Harry Potter is an excellent example. For crying out loud, the woman made millions of dollars because she 8 books in a row, for crying out loud.
Well, I like John Sanford is one of my favorite authors, and he has series and everything, but he's one of my favorite authors. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
I forget the
Can't
guy's
say
name.
I've read his. Yeah.
I was on a webinar. I forget the guy's name, but I listened to it, and he was telling how he markets his book, and all he has is a Facebook account, and that's it. And he barely doesn't. He just kind of posts like randomly on there. He has an email list that he puts out an email or a newsletter once a month, just once a month. And then he has 2 series. One of them has 8 and the other one has 10. But he sells like 30 copies of a book every single day. Can you imagine selling 30 copies a day of your book?
That would be good.
That'd be fantastic.
We'll get there, people. Chin up.
Yes. Every step we take.
Just takes time.
I mean, like since March, I've learned so much because I was one of those people who came in March, and I'm like, I barely know how to use social media. And
I'll look at you.
I wouldn't say I'm Sandy level. I'm maybe like a little bit lower. Sandy's the gold star. I'm more of a bronze.
Ah, come on.
You're doing great.
I don't have a story yet, so.
Yeah, you do.
Well, first she has to be on social media long enough for that to get a start.
Yeah, that's my problem. I'm on social maybe 10 minutes while my coffee is cooling in the morning, and the rest of the day is just gone. So, but it is what it is right now, you know.
It is what it is.
It will change. It will change.
Yeah.
I'm
It's a
gonna
process.
I'm going to be glad when we can have somebody else do our social media for us. So that's one less thing I have to concern myself.
That would be lovely.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
That's like 3 hours out of my day. Great. You guys have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You too. Thanks, Sandy.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Sandra, for
Christopher.
coming. Everybody look for Sandra's 4 books.
And
www.breakingrulespublishing.com and also on Amazon.com. And check her out on the Google link, Books by Sandra Wells. Thank you so
Great.
much, everyone, for coming.
thank you.
Thank you. Happy
Have a
New
great-
Year.